Good morning. Very, very interesting paper published in Nature regarding the effects of exercise training on neuroinflammation. So it's been published on December 8th, 2021 by my friend Thomas Randolph from Stanford and Tony Wiskoray. So basically what they are finding, and it's very exciting, is that people who are exercising, they are producing a bunch of proteins, and in particular, they are producing this molecule called clusterin that travels to the brain, where it has anti-inflammatory effects. So again, in this study, they took patients with cognitive impairment. They participated in a structural exercise for 6 months, and this was enough to increase the plasma levels of clusterin. But what is interesting is that this clusterin, when injected into mice with acute brain inflammation or an Alzheimer animal model, they reduce neuroinflammatory gene expression, okay, by binding to brain endothelial cells. So it has a neuroinflammatory effect by itself because when it's injected. So the paper basically, we knew that exercise has a powerful effect in preventing dementia. Indeed, other studies like in cell metabolisms have shown that when we exercise, there is a production of another molecule called cathepsin B that travels to the brain and induces the production of BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, that is very important for the prevention of hippocampus neurodegeneration, and is also important for depression. So it has antidepressive effect. So this new study, basically what they did, they took the plasma from mice that were running on a wheelchair and infused these plasma from these running mice into sedentary mice, and they showed that this was enough to reduce neuroinflammatory gene expression. And in normal mice and in mice that had experimental induced brain inflammation. Then, they tried to characterize what was in this plasma that was responsible for this anti-neuroinflammatory effect. They did plasma proteomics analysis. This is a way to very sophisticated way to measure the concentration of multiple proteins in plasma. And they found that there was a number of molecules that were increased by exercise in plasma, and in particular, this clusterin molecule. And as I said, the injection of this clusterin into mice with Alzheimer or with acute brain inflammation after binding to endothelial cells was responsible for a reduction in neuroinflammatory genes. And the good news is that these clusterin can be induced by only 6 months of exercise. So we don't know if this clusterin by itself can have an anti-inflammatory effect in humans, because in this study they didn't measure in the brain by PET or MRI the inflammatory response. But I think this data, together with all the other beneficial effects of exercise that I explained in previous videos, further suggest that you should exercise. You should exercise regularly. Optimally, you should exercise every day, 1 hour a day, at 70% of your max heart rate. And with these, you can have multiple beneficial effects, including having a dampening of this neuroinflammatory cascade that is responsible for neurodegeneration and many other chronic diseases of the brain. Thank you for listening.